Hey, what's up? It's Roy here, and in today's video, we're talking all about the Google Pixel 6a. And if this is your first time stopping by my channel, welcome. I do tech reviews on this channel, so I review smartphones, cases, camera stuff, you name it. So all the cool kids are doing it, so definitely consider to subscribe if you like this type of content. So with the Pixel 6a, it is the little brother to the Pixel 6. So what do you get with an A series phone? It's basically a slimmed down, trimmed down version of the big brother of its time. So 3 and 3A, 4 and 4A, you kind of get the picture there. But with the 6A, once again, it is the little brother to the Pixel 6. So it's a little more affordable. It comes in at $449, which I think is a pretty good price for this phone, because pricing is always really important, because that's the first thing a lot of people are looking at when they're looking for a budget phone. And if you're not a Pixel fanboy or fangirl, then you don't know much about Pixel phones. You only know Google because you've heard of Google, because that's pretty much what everyone uses to look up stuff. But the point is they're always gravitating towards an iPhone or a Samsung. But with Google Pixel A series phones, you get a lot of great value for the price. So for $449, you're getting 6 gigs of RAM, 128 gigs of storage. That is technically 2 gigs of RAM lesser than the Pixel 6, but I don't think that's a deal breaker. There is no expandable storage options, so if you need more than 128 gigs, then you might want to look elsewhere. Now with this also, we are getting 3 color choices this year: charcoal color, a chalk color, which I'm kind of digging. It gives me the Pixel 2 Panda vibes a little bit, and then sage for the folks that like a little bit of a just different color. It's kind of like a greenish color, but that's kind of cool. Now granted, obviously none of that matters if you put a case on it, unless you're rocking a clear case. And a case might be important for this phone because it is Gorilla Glass 3, not Gorilla Glass Victus. So once again, just something to think about for drop protection. Now with this phone, some of the things that we're losing, which I'll talk about that up front. So I'll give you not your dessert or first, right? Whatever that saying is. So we're losing wireless charging. We're losing reverse power share, obviously, where you can like charge some Pixel Buds or something on the back. And we are getting a downgrade in our fast charging capabilities with a cabled charger. So this year it's 18 watts with the A series, which is basically what we've gotten before the Pixel 6 for all the Pixel phones. But this year on the Pixel 6, it's 30 watts. So it's almost half the charging speed. But like I said, if you are a fan of Pixels, you've probably owned a Pixel before. So any of your old charging bricks will fast charge this device. Or if you don't have one, I will put down in the description a couple that I like that you can definitely use to fast charge your device as well. Now, another thing that we are losing, which is actually kind of a big thing in my opinion, is we are getting a downgrade in the refresh rate of the screen. So it is going to be 60 hertz, which that is the norm with the A series phones. But for 2022 standards, 90 hertz or more is kind of what I prefer. You just get that buttery smooth, snappy, just feeling animations. But if you are a budget phone person, then you probably never owned a higher refresh rate phone. So you probably will never notice the difference. But the point is, for someone like me, or maybe someone that's watching this video, you will. But with 60 hertz displays come a few advantages, which with this phone, one of the things that we're gaining is the Tensor chip. So unlike the old Pixel A phones, we are getting a better, higher grade chip like what we get in the flagship phones, which I'll go into a little more detail when I talk about cameras. But for performance, we're getting the same performance like we've gotten on the Pixel 6, but it's a little more affordable. But with this Tensor chip, we should get some really good battery life, because at a 60 hertz refresh rate, gosh, I'm thinking we're getting at least a minimum of 7, maybe 7.5 hours of screen on time. Now, obviously, that's what I'm assuming, but who knows? Maybe it's a little less, maybe it could be a little bit better. But with that little bit lower refresh rate, you are going to definitely achieve some better battery life out of this phone. Now, another thing that we're not going to get is a headphone jack this year. Now, that's not something that we're losing from the Pixel 6. It's just something we're losing in general from the A lineup of Pixel phones. They've always had a headphone jack, which some people are gonna be really upset about that. I do kind of wish they kept it just to kind of keep it in the lineup to say it has a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. But I personally only pretty much use wireless headphones now. But for the people that are budget conscious, maybe they've owned a pair of wired headphones for years that they like the sound with, and they're gonna have to go in a different direction, which once again, I will put some different wireless headphone options down in the description, and some are like 20 bucks and they're actually pretty good. Now, another thing we're gonna get a downgrade in a little bit is the IP rating. Instead of IP68, it's IP67. But the thing to take away from this is that it is water resistant and splash resistant, dust resistant, all that. So if you spill something on it or jump in a pool with it, you're gonna be totally fine. Just don't submerge it for long periods of time. That's something I definitely don't recommend because it will screw it up. So one of the main things though for me that's a huge win for this phone is the size change. Some people might see it as a downgrade. I absolutely see this as an upgrade. So with the Google Pixel 6, we had a 6.4-inch phone that was just a big, heavy block. This year, we're getting a 6.1-inch phone that's lighter weight and smaller, easier to use with one hand. It is still a 20:9 ratio, but it is easier to grip and do one-handed operations with. In my S22 review, I said the 6.1-inch screen is probably the best screen size for someone that wants a small phone, but a big phone at the same time, because you can easily do one-handed operations with this. Now, don't get me wrong, it's gonna still require you to do the swipe down for your notification shade, because you're gonna have to inch your hand up a little bit to swipe down from the top if you don't enable that, but just so much easier to use. You're not gonna get fatigued using this phone. It is still a flat Full HD Plus screen like we got on the Pixel 6. So you're not sacrificing any beauty of the screen. The colors are still gonna be good. And you are getting an in-display fingerprint scanner inside of it. So that is good. I just hope they figured out how to make it better than the Pixel 6 because that fingerprint scanner sucked. But yeah, and we are getting a hole punch camera at the top. Now that is housing an 8 megapixel camera that is able to record at 1080, 30 frames per second. You are able to do portrait mode, night mode, and all that stuff as well. But the point is that you are able to record at least in 1080, and it is an 8 megapixel camera. Now, since I'm talking about cameras, let's flip it around to the back and talk about the rear main cameras. So we are getting a dual camera setup on this phone, which actually is a huge win for this phone. The downgrade side is that we're not getting the same camera like we got on the Pixel 6. Now, normally with an A-series phone, we get the same camera, but a different chip. And this year they've kind of flip-flopped it where they gave us the same chip, but different cameras. Now, I don't see this as a downgrade as well because it is the same camera that we've had in Pixels before the Pixel 6 lineup. So what I mean by that is instead of 50 megapixels, we're getting a 12.2 megapixel wide angle lens. So it's the same camera that we've had with our older Pixels, and Pixels have always been regarded as some of the best camera phones out there. So you're getting the same thing, but with a lot of tricks up its sleeves since we are getting the Tensor chip. Now we are getting a 12 megapixel ultra wide angle lens as well, which I'm actually really excited about as well. So once again, guys, I think the camera is definitely gonna be great. It's not gonna be a downgrade in my opinion. You are able to record in 4K up to 60 frames per second, which is awesome. And you can do like slow-mo and even like really slow-mo at 1080 at 240 frames per second. So the point is I think this phone's camera is going to be fully capable, especially with this Tensor chip, giving you the ability to do like the real tone pictures to kind of get that capture of real true beauty of different skin tones. The face unblur, we're getting, gosh, what else? Magic Eraser, which has always been a big thing for people, where you can kind of take out distracting things in the background of your photos, like people walking or photo bombing you, or even distracting objects for that matter, and it does a fantastic job with that. And something they showed in the Google I/O event a week or so ago was being able to change the shade of colors of distracting objects like they did with like a water cooler in the picture. So all in all, just with the extra AI that we're getting with that Tensor chip, I think the cameras are gonna do just fine. And one thing that's pretty nice about this phone is even though it is a budget phone, Google has said that it is getting 5 years of security updates and whatnot. So that is pretty good to know that you are going to be able to use it for 5 years and still be able to get updates and all that versus like 3 years like what it's done sometimes in the past. So pretty exciting there. So all in all, guys, this Pixel 6a I think is going to pack a huge punch for the price. I definitely am looking forward to this phone. But if this is a phone that you're considering, let me know down in the comments what it is that you're looking forward to with this Pixel 6a. I think, like I said, I think it has a lot to offer. And yeah, now pre-orders are going to start July 21st, or you can pick it up in store July 28th. And of course, you can get it like at Best Buy. I'm sure T-Mobile is going to have it, Amazon, Google Store, you name it. But yeah, but there it is, guys. There's the Pixel 6a. Pretty stoked about it. So hit that like button if you liked this video. If you loved it, please subscribe and ring that notification bell for up-to-date content. So be safe, God bless, and I'll see you on the next one.